Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll have the latest on the legislature from the leaders of the legislature in our monthly conversation with the Senate President and Speaker of the House. That's next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Arizona's law prohibiting school districts from offering racially divisive courses is, for the most part, constitutional. That ruling today Friday, from a federal judge who said that objections to a Tucson school district's Mexican American Studies program did not meet the threshold of a constitutional violation. The judge did rule that the part of the law that prohibits courses designed for a particular ethnic group was too broad and affects, quote, legitimate and objective ethnic studies courses. Medicaid expansion, changes to the state's election laws, and another move to put a state sovereignty measure on the ballot. Those are among the higher profile issues at the state capitol as the legislative session passes the halfway mark. Joining us now for their monthly appearance on Arizona Horizon, Senate President Andy Biggs and Speaker of the House, Andy Tobin. Good to see you both here. Thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure. Let's start with Medicaid expansion. What's the latest there?
Well, it's my understanding the governor is going to release a draft of a proposed piece of legislation tomorrow. I don't know what's going to go from there. I'm anxious to see what it contains, and I think that we're all still trying to get more information. So.
Do you know what kind of hearings are likely to be held, or is this all?
Well, it's kind of a weak process, to be quite honest with you. We had a speech on opening day. We have some language. The language was very specific about saying, okay, Access is now going to control this whole process. Well, it's a non-starter in my building, and I'm not sure the president would be hearing that over there as well. So we all recognize there's a crisis. We recognize there's an emergency room problem. We recognize there's a uninsured problem that's out there. The question is, do you end up moving forward on billions of dollars in federal dollars that don't exist to come to Arizona? And that's really where the debate is right now.
The non-starter aspect of what you just mentioned, is that because is that the difference between a tax and an assessment? Are we back on that?
No, actually, that's a separate issue. I think the question is, if you got over the hurdles and said, okay, the tax works or the assessment works, then you have to say who's in charge. Well, no disrespect, Ted. I think you're a bright guy, but I'm not putting you in charge of all that money all by yourself coming in, and that's what this process looks like. That's the non-starter piece. I think at the very minimum, there's got to be oversight to whatever happens down there, and especially if we're going to be expanding and putting new dollars in. And from a lot of my members' perspective, and we spoke about this before. How do we know that by now saving the plight of this uninsured and making sure now we don't have this hidden health care tax, how do we know that the provider market doesn't continue to put pressure on the commercial markets without having some controls over it? So those are just two minor issues that I think aren't even there yet until we see where this language is going.
I know assessments and fees are usually managed by agency heads. This is just too much in this particular case?
Well, when we say that they're managed by agency heads, the legislature gives some small discretion usually to agency departments' heads. But what we're talking about here is exactly what you said. It is a massive amount of money, and if this isn't a Prop 108, I'm not sure that we'll ever see another Prop 108 again. This is truly something that the legislature is you're going to see an increase in state revenues as a direct result of this. That's really the patent definition of a Prop 108.
And you're saying basically as a Prop 108, you're going to need 2/3 of the legislature to vote this.
Yeah,
is that how you see this?
Yeah, I do see it that way. I mean, we've talked before about should there be a cap? Should there be a cap on this? And we've offered scenarios, different scenarios. What do you do when Governor Brewer's gone and current Director Tom Betlak's gone? Well, you see, if the governor trusts hers and you get someone else in there with a different point of view and you have some room to raise that assessment, because what we're being asked to do is give really broad fee-making authority. If you give that fee-making authority to someone that we don't really trust because we don't even know who they are right now, that's a problem. There should be a cap there.
Are those the kinds of things that can be negotiated, that can be worked into something that would expand Medicaid, or is baby gone with bathwater here?
No, baby's not gone with bathwater. But I will share with you, we're ready to sit here and have a conversation. We're not ready to have a conversation in the media. I mean, there's enough of our members that are out there. They're hearing from their constituents. They're getting letters to our precinct committeemen statewide. The problem is overwhelming from the base of the Republican Party that hey, we don't like this, and I think most of it's because they haven't really done a good job selling this process. You know, I mean, we've sat down and had conversations with the executive. We sat down and have visited this, but not much more than we're having this conversation with you, Ted. So from my perspective, there's ways for this to improve, but we need to start sitting down and have a conversation and playing the public relations game to move votes. I don't think that works this time. But I'm hoping that we can sit down and continue the dialogue.
Well, speaking of the public relations game, if you will, the governor's already come out and said that the Republican Party will be blamed if thousands lose coverage, that the political ramifications need to be considered by the Republican Party.
I was on your show not so long ago. It was about a year and a half before President Biggs came on board. The same conversation we heard about expanding the unemployment weeks. Do you remember that? The feds were coming in. They said, we're going to extend, you need to expand unemployment. The governor called us into special session, and we didn't do it. And that's not the first time. So, and at that time, people were saying they're going to beat you over head with a bat come the fall. Well, that didn't happen either. I think the answer here is the members want to know if the folks who are paying all the bills, if they don't have a place at the table. We already know that the folks who need to get the benefits have a place at the table. Where's the place at the table for the folks who are paying all the bills? And I think that's really where this, defer to the president, but I think in my caucus they're starting to say, well, yeah, I mean, what's happened to the taxpayer?
So when the Maricopa County Republican Party says that this is a government takeover of Arizona health care, when the Pima County Republican Party says that this is a compromising of core values for short-term political expedience, you say?
I say, well, I don't disagree with that. I mean, let's think about it. Let's think about it for a second. What we're asking truly is that we assess and unfairly burden not just today's taxpayers, but generations of taxpayers to come to pay for what? Current year health care. That's really what it boils down to. Because 40 cents of every dollar at federal level is paid for how? It's borrowed. The federal level, they have just on a basic format in excess of $1 trillion structural deficit. You add in every year Social Security and Medicare, and it's $4.5 trillion. That's the deficit annually. And we're contributing to it. We're saying, well, let's go ahead and try to draw down some money. Which, by the way, oddly enough, the Obama administration had put together the Simpson-Bowles Commission. I think you'll probably remember that. They were going to analyze and say what we should do to cut costs. They specifically said, eliminate hospital assessments. It's a gimmick and is bankrupting the federal government, helping to bankrupt the federal government. So what do we do if the federal government walks away? There's a lot of issues that are not unsolved here.
We've had some people on the program, though, that say that when they hear someone say, what happens if the federal government runs out of money? What happens if the federal government walks away? That's akin to what happens if I step in front of a bus tomorrow. We've got a situation right now that needs to be handled. Handle it now. You can't be looking 10, 20 years into the future.
Well, let's think about the reality today. What's happening today? It's called sequester. What's happening with DES? Well, they're trying to analyze how much federal money is going to be withdrawn through the sequester process. Who do you think is going to pick up the cost of that?
Ted, I don't think we're saying, Ted, that the math doesn't work. The math works if you can assume for a moment that there's $1 trillion in a lockbox somewhere in Washington that they suddenly had never discovered before, and now it's like, hey, here's the money, and it's not borrowed from China, it's real dollars. You know, I just got done, we were on our way up the stairs, and I just got a note that they're hiring 15,000 new IRS agents, so that they can make sure that everyone is now paying their taxes for what is truly Obamacare going forward. Well, my question is that here we are, we've cut Medicare. Medicare just got cut. Reimbursement rates just got cut. So we're piling all of these reductions on the same medical community that we're now supposedly trying to help. And I'm trying to ask myself, okay, well, if we're taking this money from these folks, who's paying the bill? So, I mean, somewhere along the line, you have to give the folks who are paying the bill a chance to actually survive in the process. And this is clearly, we're a very generous nation. No one's taking care of their citizens better than Arizona's Access program. The answer is we have a crisis. I think we all would agree with that. Is this where we want? Is this the only option that we have? And I think our members are willing to sit and listen to some other options that are out there.
You mentioned who's paying the bill. Some would argue, and again, that uncompensated care tax is that we all will continue paying the bill, and more so if, and as the governor mentioned, we're not going to let people die in the streets here. We're not that kind of people. But because of that, we are all going to wind up paying the bill for these uncompensated folks.
Well, I don't disagree with you, but Ted, the question is what happened to this system before we got here? I mean, I'm in the employee benefit business. I can remember 10 years ago we were fighting over bidding on school districts for benefits, and it was the difference between $107 and $110 a person. Now it's $500 and $600. I think you have to start looking at where the real solutions are. I mean, you can go to the same place that did a mammogram 10 years ago, same machine, same technology, same address, and it's 5 times more or 10 times more. How does that go up so high? So, and I'm not saying that there isn't a reason for some expansion, or especially as it relates to dollars and inflation. But for heaven's sakes, I mean, I'm in business. I'm not charging my clients more money as this economy is getting worse. I'm trying to charge them less and be more efficient. Are we being more efficient by throwing more money at it? And if that's the case, how are we going to keep the dollars coming in from the people who pay the bills?
So if this doesn't go through the legislature, what do we do? Where do we stand? What happens to folks, all these folks that would get kicked off the rolls and those who would otherwise apply or be qualified for? What happens to these people?
Let me give you two. Let me give you two scenarios. We can go back and talk about what do you do if with the 50,000 people that we believe that are going to be coming down from the 85 that are there now. We can look at them and say who really is the most dire, who needs those treatments, who needs that, and we can see if we can fund that. We can look to fund that. We can. We don't have to expand. What's happening here is not only are you expanding, you're bringing back all the Prop 204 population, but what you're doing is you're also, the proposal is, you're fully implementing the Obamacare. That's what you're doing, and that's what people need to understand. But there's some other things that we can do as well. We can decide what way we want to go. We can make those decisions, but right now, as the rhetoric's starting to heat up, it makes it really tough to have that talk. But I want you to consider this. If they think, if the people who say, well, you got 50,000 people there that you're going to be kicking off, let me ask you this. How can it possibly be viable for the circuit breaker to ever work? Because after you bring on 300,000 to 400,000 more people, and that's the low estimate, if the feds do withdraw, then what do you do?
But that's but again, that would be if the feds do withdraw. There seems to be among some who say that this is not necessarily a possibility; it's almost a certainty.
Well, it is almost. I mean, we talked about Medicare. They reduced on Medicare. We're talking about sequester.
That's right.
They're reducing on that. I don't think there's anybody who's looking at it that is not saying, "Oh yeah, the feds are going to fully fund this all the way." Paul Ryan's going to introduce his Medicaid block grant program again. You're talking about just 2 years ago they were talking about austerity programs that would reduce Medicaid co-pays by 10%.
Right.
So,
but we have we have hospitals that aren't on board with this. We have some rural hospitals who have called and said we don't want any part of it. It's not going to help us. We have private hospitals that have called. We get it, and I mean, I've met with physicians who are sitting there desperately hurting for this uncompensated care, and you have to really look at it and say, okay, is where you want to go single payer? Because with all the problems you're having with all this uncompensated care, if the commercial markets are eventually get pushed out of the picture, and that's the direction this is going, you have to start answering that question to yourself. Do you want only one place where you're ever going to get compensated and where you're going to get paid? And that's where I think it's among the physicians. They just feel so desperate right now. And we're not saying no, let's have this conversation. But, the options that we have on the table are very, very short. We don't really have a whole lot.
So when the Arizona Republic reports that Chuck Coughlin, advisor to the governor, his quote was, "Your humanistic instincts will prevail over your political instincts," you say?
Well, I think he was the one that said you were going to take a bat to the Republicans come the fall 2 years ago, and that didn't happen. We won seats in the House. I don't respond to folks who are out there campaigning for an issue. We're here to have a conversation about what the facts are, and I'd leave that up to whoever hired Chuck to do.
A different way of putting it, I think, would be: is expanding care and coverage for these people, is it the right thing to do?
Well, my position is that we have other options that are not even being discussed, number one. Number two, it seems to me that you have expanded this program so greatly that the question is ultimately, do you want to unfairly burden future generations? Because you are. I look around, I see the cameramen and women and the staff working here. They're going to be paying this bill before I do. That's the reality.
And to the President's point, if we find a way that we can fix that, I think we can come up with some solutions. But all we've seen is that here it is, let Access put this together, and I don't have the votes for that. I don't have the votes whether it's a Prop 108 or whether it's just a flat-out vote.
Yeah.
And I don't think, and I mean, this week in the House, we're walking our members through the math. And if you just go through the math and just look at the math piece, say, hey, this works and this will pay this, and few can argue that on that basis that you can't see a mathematical solution. It's when you get behind the scenes that you have to say, okay, where's the money coming from? And can we find a way for the short term to get in and then get out? Or let's come up with some very bright people down there. Let's see if we can't find some solutions. I don't think we really know where some of those additional options are, but we're working on some stuff.
Okay, let's move on to another issue here, and that is the changing of the recall process, HB 2282, adding a primary election to the recall. Why is that necessary?
Are you talking about the bill that just went out?
Yes.
Well, I think what you've got is the members are very concerned. This is about the Sheriff Joe recall bill. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, it's
okay. Well, let's throw it on the table. It's about the sheriff. Listen,
it is, but it's not, but it is.
Well, let me share with you. You know, Sheriff Joe endorsed my opponent up in my district. I have problems with Sheriff Joe. I've never been an endorser of Sheriff Joe. It's just the way it is. So this isn't a benefit to me, but I would share with you, I believe that they are using this process, the Perez group is using this process to really bastardize the system of our election process, and I disagree with it. I mean, if you're having members worried about being elected 2 months after they had just gotten elected, then to worry about, my gosh, I haven't even done anything yet. Folks had their chance to vote out Sheriff Joe. I was very disappointed over a lot of the folks who through his previous director, were not getting their cases heard. I was very disappointed over that and very upset over it. However, everybody saw what that was. He got his vote. It's over. We moved on, and I'm very disturbed to think that someone will continue to use this kind of a recall process on all lawmakers or any elected officials. I think it's very premature.
With the Speaker's points in mind, and some would agree to every single point, the Constitution says that if you get enough signatures in the right amount of time, a special election shall be ordered. That's one special election. That's not a primary, and it sounds like this. Critics are saying this is blatantly unconstitutional.
Yeah, I would disagree with that. I mean, the Constitution also says that in every election there will be a primary election, and it doesn't exclude anything for a recall election. So, I mean, I believe that this is a perfectly constitutional bill.
And why now? Why this bill? Why now?
I think it was overdue several years ago. I think that we've seen that recalls are now starting to be used as a club. There's not allegations of malfeasance in office. There's not allegations that these people have committed a crime. What they're doing is they just don't like their politics. And so what you're doing is, what you're seeing is the movement to use recall elections not as a legitimate tool to remove someone who should be removed from office. You're seeing it to be used as a political club.
That's right.
And so that's why.
Well, they actually dropped this bill in the Senate last year, so this is long before. So this isn't new. Yeah. So we knew this conversation was going to be coming back, and I mean, we could be having 50 people getting recalled, next week if you let something like this get out of hand down there. Talk about distraction.
But regarding and the last time this came up was when President Pierce was recalled, and the Supreme Court looked at this thing, and the quote from the ruling was, adopting a standard that makes it more difficult for the public to remove its own officers would frustrate historical intent.
That was on a different issue. What you're reading is what we call dictum at the law. That was merely, in my opinion, that was merely comment on the law, not necessarily getting to the heart of the ruling. I think when we start looking at the Constitution overall, it says there's going to be a primary election in every election. So it doesn't really say that.
You think the Supreme Court, when this was mentioned, when this was the quote, this was written, they don't think it would frustrate historical intent?
I don't think this frustrates historical intent. This bill, I don't believe so. I believe it's necessary.
Yeah, well, me and the Supreme Court haven't been getting along for a while. I don't know if I'm the best.
All right. Well, I just thought I'd throw it out there. Anyway.
Thank you.
Before we go, and again, this is something else that we've kind of heard from the past, and now it's coming up again. Yeah. This idea of state sovereignty getting back on the ballot, a continuing resolution. It looks like it's on its way, at least part of the way here. Why is that necessary? Again, we just voted, as you mentioned, we just voted on this thing not too long ago. We got to vote on it again?
Well, it looks like we might get to.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I'm ambivalent. Look, I think the reality is the issue is a real issue, and I think in all fairness to the sponsor of this bill, it wouldn't surprise me if there was what we might call voter fatigue by the time. Yeah. I mean, by the time you worked your way through all thousands or whatever we had.
It is frustrating. There's just a lot of frustration.
They got down there. So who knows why they voted yes or no? Maybe.
So are you even going to?
No, I wanted to talk about election officials' retirement plans that are going away. The only state in the country that's talking about getting rid of political retirement plans that passed the House. You know, you talk about where's some savings. We're talking about these plans that are unsustainable. Well, guess what? We're doing that down here at the legislature. So I'm more concentrated on that than I am about an initiative that's not going to get out there to 14. And by the way, I promised my wife and my 3 daughters I'd mention my tie today, and for St. Patty's Day for Saturday, because I mentioned the president's tie last time. And so Kelly and Laura and Megan and my wife Jennifer, I got your tie.
Well, I can't think of a better place to stop than your tie.
Let's tie this off.
There we go. Thank you both for being here again. We do appreciate it.
Good to see you.
And Tuesday on Arizona Horizon, hear the pros and cons of several bills that would make changes to public employee unions. And we'll find out about a tree-friendly trail in the West Valley. That's on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.